Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson. Hi, guys. John, how you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. It is 6:01. Not too bad. Yesterday, we had our next masterclass start. It was kind of good. And we started our handgun training systems. If you don't know what the handgun training system is, it is a complete system that allows you to work with me one-on-one for every week. I'm going to give you a drill. I'm going to give you a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to give you homework, and we're going to evaluate it each week. That is a membership product that we're doing. It gives you a lot of benefits. It's going to make you a better shooter. It correlates right with the masterclass. A lot of my students that finish the masterclass go right into the handgun training system, and we put together a nice little package for you. They're like little mini courses. Each week it's a different drill, different technique. If you're interested in anything like that, we give you a free look over. Basically, all you got to do is mention something in the comments that you want to get a free sample of it, and we will send you one that you can kind of eyeball and see what you think. And there's a pay window. Once you get to a point, it allows you to do it. It just gives us a little bit more one-on-one without having you. Some of these people, the masterclass basically was coast to coast, and you could be coast to coast with me, and we'll have independent training sessions with me through the month. So obviously it was something you're looking for. It's awesome. Another one thing I want to talk to you about is our ebooks. Don't forget about our ebooks. If you haven't got one of our ebooks yet, there is the new one, the Master Your Handgun in 4 Weeks ebook. If you haven't got one, they're free. One's free. They're not all free. One's free if you haven't got one free yet. And all you got to do is put it in the cart and in the description below and put free book, and it's yours. No problem. Those books are on sale for $2.99. The regular $3.99. And if you want to put a couple extra ones in the cart, it would not hurt my feelings at all tonight. So let me get that off there. That's all the commercials we're going to do for you this evening, guys. And those commercials basically help us. You're promoting a family-owned business. Looks like we've got a good start out this evening. Got a bunch of people on here. Let's give a shout out real quick while we're doing everything. All right. Let's see who we have here. We have Richard Shep. Thank you, Richard. Charles, thank you for being here. Appreciate you very much, guys. Yeah, that's nice, Charles. Wishing everybody. Rich? Rich, you are on time. Rick, you are on time. All right, so tonight we're going to discuss. Hey, Rick B, where are you from, buddy? Well, we're going to got a newbie there, Rick B. Thank you. And was it something it hit? Oh, excuse me, I did something. Was it something you just got, you subscribed to our channel and found out about it? Virginia. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful Virginia. That's nice. Jacks go. There we go. All right. So tonight I thought I would go ahead and answer a question from one of our subscribers that asked, are we available to help him with his arthritis when shooting a pistol? Now, I don't claim to be a doctor, and I can't really help him with his arthritis, but I will tell you, sir, that most likely you're over torquing or over gripping with your hands. You need to make sure you're using your chest muscles, your stance, and more control to the weapon, and you're not over torquing with the hand. I see a lot of people who over squeeze their hand, which makes their arthritis kick in. So we want to shoot a pistol with leverage as much as possible. I sent him a little email, told him that we could probably work around what he has, indefinitely. But just to remember, guys, when you're shooting a pistol, you want to use your chest muscles as much as possible, and your dominant hand is about 40% of your grip, and the remaining part is 60% of your grip. You have to control the weapon as much as you can to shoot accurate, and the more we control the weapon. So this evening, we're going to test your IQ on handguns and handgun shooting. And if you want to have some fun with me, you can go ahead and make comments. That would be awesome. We're not going to hold anybody to 100% or whatever it is, but it's kind of fun to check to see what you know and what you don't know. So we actually have about 30 questions that we're going to cover this evening, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on them because I know we only like to do these for an hour, but I thought I would kind of give you an overview of some of the questions. So the PowerPoint, it's not a PowerPoint, it's just you and I talking, but I wanted to go through a couple different things. So in section 1, we're going to talk about techniques and accuracy. Shooting a pistol, there's a lot of stuff you need to know, and not everything you do is what somebody else does. And there's that system as a firearms instructor. We try to give everyone the grip, the stance, the trigger control, the sight picture, the sight alignment. But sooner or later, you got to find a system that works for you each time. And that's the idea of a system, is if you repeat it and you're working, why change it? So even though you could torque it a little bit more and get more accurate, we don't have to be bullseye shooters. We just need to run the gun in a timely manner. So number 1, you should press the trigger straight back to the rear. Is that a true or a false? True or a false? You should press the trigger straight back to the rear. That would be true, guys. Majority of students mess up when they put too much finger in the trigger. Too much finger. Thank you, Rich B, for subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much. Must have saw one of our videos or two. We appreciate you very much for subscribing. Thank you, sir. Okay, so number 1 was true. The tighter the grip always means better control. The tighter the grip means better control. You would think that would be true, but that's actually false, because the tighter the grip, the more torquing we're put on the weapon, and the more we torque the weapon, the more challenge we have on keeping the weapon level, or keeping the rubber straight, or doing things like that. Excuse me, we've taken a drink. I apologize. So number 2 was false. The front sight should be crystal clear when aiming. The front sight should be crystal clear when aiming. You got to focus on your back sight and your front sight and your target. Which one of those 3 needs to be crystal clear? If you said your front sight needs to be crystal clear, that is true. That is true. Charles, if you're asking us that, we're in Cape Coral, Florida, sir. Cape Coral, Florida. Charles asked where you're from. Cape Coral, Florida, which is between Naples and Tampa on the west coast side. All right, number 4 is it's okay to blink while you shoot. Now, obviously, if we blink an awful lot, we're going to lose some of our sighting system, so that would be a false. I'm not going to say you can't squint, but you really shouldn't shut your eyes when you're shooting. We have a lot of students that do that when they first come into the range. I said, "Did you see that?" No, I didn't see it because my eyes were closed. Yeah, it's a kind of fun little deal. People, we deal with a lot of different students in a lot of different ways, and that's one of the things that they tend to close their eyes when they first start shooting. All right, low and left hits often come from jerking the trigger from a right-handed student. Is this true or false? Left low left hits comes from jerking the trigger from a right-handed student. And you could say the same thing, but you say low and right if it was from a left-handed shooter, and that would be true. True, that would be true. All right. You should reset the trigger by slapping it forward for each shot. You should reset the trigger by slapping it forward from each shot. Well, that would be false. Reset is a slow, continuous let go until you hear the click. And then once you hear the click, then the reset has got the trigger to go just enough far enough that you're able to. Thank you. Thank you, Charles, for answering that. I appreciate it very much. Uh, a strong stance helps you with recoil recovery. A strong stance helps you with recoil recovery. Is that true or false? The stance is the foundation of shooting. So if you have a foundation of shooting, well, you want to make sure that that would be true. A strong stance. And when we talk about strong stance, what are we talking about? I normally recommend feet shoulder width apart, bouncing on your knees just a little bit, and just getting your nose over your toes just a little bit. Nice. Your dominant eye always matches your dominant hand. I ask students all the time, do you know your dominant eye? And they commonly say, well, I'm right handed. That means I must be right eye dominant. And majority of the time, that is false. A large percentage students are right handed and left eye dominant, or left handed and right eye dominant. There are some common people who are right handed and right eye, like me. And there are some people who are left handed, left eye, like my son John. My oldest son John is left handed. He has shot with his left eye, but he mostly shoots with his right eye, and he shoots left and right, but he kind of now likes to shoot right-handed, which is kind of a unique thing. So your dominant eye always matches your dominant hand, and that would be false. False, guys. Very good. Recoil anticipation, which is called flinching, causes a shot to drop low. Recoil anticipation and flinching causes the shot to drop low. That would be true. Slow and steady trigger leads to better accuracy. Oh, that's a good one. Slow and steady trigger control leads to better accuracy. True or false? If you said true on your piece of paper, you are correct. Recoil should be avoided at all cost. Recoil on a pistol should be avoided at all cost. Recoil should be avoided at all cost. That is false, guys. There has to be some recoil, and we have to control the recoil. And one of the best ways to control recoil is getting a proper stance and a proper grip. Those two things will commonly make you a better shooter. Proper grip and proper stance and proper trigger control will allow you to avoid most of the recoil muzzle flip, but it's almost impossible to eliminate it totally. You are not a vice bench that we put the gun in the bench and don't let it move. Unfortunately, shooting a pistol is probably the most challenging thing you can do due to the fact you can't do 100% with either hand. And a lot of times when we're running that pistol, we're probably not driving it as well as we should be. So if you're driving the pistol properly and you're using your chest to drive the weapon and you're really using the tip of your finger and you're really bringing that trigger back in a slow, continuous drawback until it cuts, it's going to help us tremendously. So recoil should be avoided at all costs. That is false. There's going to be recoil. There's nothing we can do about it. We just need to control it the best we can. All right, so we have the shooting hand, which is your dominant hand, is 100% of your grip. Your dominant hand is 100% of your grip. We already talked to you about the 60-40 already, so you should know that it's false. It is more in line with your non-dominant hand allows more control because there are 4 fingers holding onto the pistol on that side and only 3 fingers holding it on this side. If I close this up and use my finger and I wrap my hands around, 4 fingers are going to give me a lot more power than 3 fingers. So you actually get more power from your non-dominant hand than your dominant. So this question number 12 would be false. Practicing with dummy rounds can help reduce flinching. Practicing with dummy rounds can help reduce flinching. Well, if you don't know what a dummy round is, that is a round that is fake. It's not real. It doesn't have any inert in there. There's no primer. There's no powder. There's no projectile that's going to come out of the barrel, but it looks like a bullet. And the easiest way to practice with those is what we call the ball and dummy drill. We use that in our masterclass. And the ball and dummy drill is set up when we put a dummy round in the middle of a magazine. You have your friend or your buddy load it. They take 1 dummy round and 4 live rounds, and somewhere in the midst of the 5 shots, that dummy round will come up. It is very common for a student to be shooting, and when they go to engage the trigger and there's no round there, but you think it's loaded, all of a sudden you're going to get that front dip, boom, front dip, boom. Once it dips down and once you see it, that's going to help you identify the anticipator that's inside of each and every one of us. I joke and kid all the time that all shooters have a Democrat in front of them inside their body that doesn't want to be at the range, doesn't want to shoot, doesn't like firearms. And every time you engage the trigger, it's freaking out a little bit. So you want to make sure that the dummy round itself, the ball and dummy drill, is a great drill because what it does, it helps identify your anticipation and flinching. Now, if you do that enough time, what ends up happening is you can confuse your mind because technically every time you go out into the range, you're physically soaking up a recoil, soaking up the bang, and it's freaking out the internal flinching. But if you sometimes dry fire, sometimes live fire, sometimes dry fire, so it confuses the internal monster, and it doesn't know if it's going to go bang now or go bang later. So that's why dry firing is so important for us. So it's kind of one of those things where we need to make sure that we practice enough in both ways. So when it comes down to us working on our fundamentals, that reflexes like that are not going to be an issue for us. So practicing with dummy rounds can help reduce flinching, and the answer is true. Now it's very hard for you to load dummy rounds in your own magazine and not know. I've tried it before. I put all the rounds in a can and I shut my eyes and try to load. It's always best to have a friend or a buddy load them for you. You'll get more out of it at that point in time. All right. Breathing control isn't important in handgun shooting. Now, this is a yes and a no. Now, obviously, I'm not much on having to hold and, back my father taught us how to shoot a rifle. The whole concept of shooting a rifle, we were shooting 22s out at 100 yards. And it was this whole thing and take a deep breath in, exhale about half of it, and then just try to stable the gun and then slowly press the trigger. And it kind of worked for long range because a little bobble at 10 feet, you're probably not even going to see it. If you're shooting 3 yards or 5 yards or 7 yards, but when you're shooting out at 100, it could be a full foot and a half if you're manipulating it enough. So that's kind of one of the things that this is a maybe. Shoulder shrug. I'm not saying. Well, I will tell you the majority of the time when we do take new students out, and I have to kind of remind them to breathe because they are doing all this stuff for the very first time. It's kind of funny to turn around and look at them and they're beet red. And, they shoot really well, but while they're shooting, they're holding their breath. And that's kind of one of those things I almost forget to convict it. Forget to breathe. They forget to breathe once in a while. Like I forgot my words just there. But they forget to breathe, so I got to remind them to breathe, stupid, breathe. Once they start breathing on a regular basis, it becomes a little bit easier. Remember, when people are new to shooting, they've got this whole thing they've been told their whole life. They're from New York or New Jersey. These weapons have been criminalized so much, so they just can't believe they can come to Florida and become a good shooter. You understand? Or even touch a gun or feel a gun. Think about Illinois, where you have to have a FOIT card to even touch a firearm. Well, that's kind of silly, but that's what they have there. And when people go to do something and they come to Florida, which is the gunshine state, and we do these training classes, sometimes they forget to. I wouldn't say breathing is going to help you, or breathing control is going to help you at 21 yards and in. But I will tell you, anything past 21 yards, your breathing should be under control. So breath control isn't important in handgun shooting, and we're going to put maybe false, maybe yes there, because if you said no or you said yes, it wouldn't matter. Now, if we had long gun, practicing breathe control in long gun shooting isn't important, that would be false because it would be important. All right. Using your sights properly is more important than shooting fast. Using your sights properly is more important than shooting fast. What do you think? Using your sights would be more important. That's true. Now, let me tell you where I differ on a little bit of this. And I differ on the whole point of the sights on a pistol are a convenience. They are not a necessity. When we do our defensive classes, yeah, very good, Speedy. Situational. You're right. That's just what I was going to say. If you have spent any time with us at all, I'm a big component of using defensive shooting and bullseye shooting in both ways. Obviously, in a real true situation, the vital triangle starts at the shoulders and goes to the groin, and sights are not a real they're not going to help us become pinpoint accurate. And trust me, at a high defense situation where everything's out the window at that point in time, your body will physically shut off everything it deems unnecessary, which could be your fine eye focus, your grip, your stance. It could do a lot of stuff. And and sights are at one point or another, they're there. You need to know how to use them. But technically, point shooting is a good way to think about defensively, because if we go shoulders to groin on most people, you got a target that's 15 by 15. I tell most of the students here at the range, we work off a couple different targets: a 3-inch circle, a 4-inch circle, a 5-inch circle, a 6-inch circle, and an 8-inch circle. And those were our magical numbers. But every one of those are smaller than the vital triangle that's actually on someone's chest. I probably have a 21 by 21 vital triangle, basically because of the size I am, compared to most people are way over the 8.5 by 11. So, without getting into too much detail, if you can compete and complete a target situation with an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is most of the handgun training systems that we give you, every drill we give is low round count and on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, even though we're using 3-inch circles and 2-inch circles and 4-inch circles on the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, most students think they miss because they didn't actually impact the circle, but they impacted the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And majority of students, first time, people who've been back multiple times with us training wise, most students do not miss the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Because technically, even on the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, we're not focusing on the whole piece of paper. We're normally focusing on a smaller target on the piece of paper, which is a pro tip for you guys. You need to aim small to miss small. So instead of aiming at the whole 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, go ahead and get your black magic marker or anything else like that and make you a 2-inch circle or 1-inch circle or an X and try to impact that smaller target. You'll be surprised how quickly your groups will get tighter. So that one was true. Slapping the trigger increases your accuracy. Slapping the trigger increases your accuracy. Obviously, that's false. Slapping the trigger is not going to help you at all. It's going to actually cause you to be inaccurate. We don't slap any triggers. We don't slap any triggers. It's okay if you grip your sorry about that. I flip. I was reading two things at one time, but that didn't sound like it. It's okay if you grip changes with every shot. It's okay your grip changes on every shot. That is false, guys. How can we control the weapon? How can we physically become accurate with a pistol if we have a different grip every time we touch the pistol? We try to stop students. Okay, Charles, that's a good one here. Charles just asked a question, and we can all do it real quick for you. Charles says, how do you figure out your dominant eye? It is very simple, Charles. If you're sitting down at home and you guys on the live this evening, you all can do it right now. I want you to take your hands, Charles. I want you to put them out in front of you. I want to make a triangle just like that. See that right there? This triangle piece right here. I want you to put that right there in front of your face. I want you to concentrate on something across the room, whether it be a light switch or anything. It doesn't really matter. And then once you've got that at your eye, You're going to go ahead and concentrate. I'm going to concentrate on the camera, and I'm going to bring it back to my face very slowly with both eyes looking through that hole. And as I bring it back, it's going to go automatically to my dominant eye. And that is your dominant eye. Make that triangle, point out at a surface, both eyes open, and bring it straight back to you. Why it's so important that you know your dominant eye, because that's where the gun needs to be accurate. You must marry the weapon and the eye together. And there's no other way to do it besides that. You can do your whole point one, point two, but this is the most simplest way we've been doing it for years. That's the easiest way for you to know your dominant eye. And a lot of people nowadays that have had corrective lenses in their cameras and their lights in their eyes, sometimes you have to do it a couple times. But if you make that triangle small enough that you just look through it just enough, it'll automatically go to your dominant eye. Thanks for asking that question, Charles. I appreciate that. Hope that helped you. Kurt Richards, how you doing, buddy? I sure can. Yeah. 1 second here, Kurt. Let me get down to a couple more, and I'll cover that for you, Kurt. 1 second. Kurt's asking, good evening. Hey, Jacob. Can you get me the rubber gun, please? Yellow rubber gun. Thank you, buddy. He's asking, can you give us some info on canting the pistol when you're shooting one-handed? I sure can, Kurt. Just give me a few seconds here. We'll get that covered. Thank you. All right. Dry firing helps build accuracy. Dry firing helps build accuracy. That is true, guys, because remember we talked about how it's imperative that the mind doesn't know. And when we dry fire, we're not sure if the gun's going to go bang or not. We try to fight that recoil management as much as possible. And recoil management comes from us internally as well. All right. Should you always shoot with both eyes open? You should always shoot with both eyes open. Now, a lot of students can't shoot with both eyes open. It's somewhat challenging for them to begin with. But here is my opinion. The word always means absolutely, absolute. And there's no possibility to say absolute on that. So I'm going to call this false. But in my opinion, you should be practicing enough that you can get to both eyes open. There's a lot of advantages to shooting with both eyes open. One, it gives you a larger field of view. So, Charles, if you're right-eyed, are you right-handed? Charles just said, so I'm right-eye. Okay. Are you right-handed? This is the next question, Charles. So field of view makes a big difference, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, if you shut an eye, right, you're going to lose a large percentage of your view, and you will not shut an eye. You will not shut an eye in a high defense situation. This is one of those times when your body's going to say you need both eyes open to visualize what threats are coming. So it's automatically going to make you keep both eyes open. And if you haven't shot with both eyes open, your accuracy is going to weigh because you don't know where to put the gun at that point in time. This is where we use the back of the firearm a lot when we do these tactical classes that we do. We hardly ever use our sights when we're working in a tactical situation. We're using the back of the firearm. We're putting that square right there. This thing right here, we're more focusing on the back of the firearm and making sure the weapon is level. When we have the weapon in our hand and we're bringing that front post up, we're going to shoot high. And if we have that front post low, we're going to shoot low. But if we're focusing on the back side of the firearm, we don't need to worry about closing an eye or not closing an eye because technically when we visually see a target, what's going to be the most crisp in the world is that front post. The front post is super crystal clear, and the rest of the whole mechanism is going to be blurry. So if I focus on the back of the firearm and I put it out in front of me, I'm going to see target all the way around it. That's a lot easier for us to do it. You should always shoot with both eyes open. We're going to call that false because always is always, and sometimes people can't do it. That's part of the deal. The more practice with bad habits will eventually fix them. That's a good one. The more you practice with bad habits, automatically, eventually, it all fix themselves. I see a real problem with this one. This is the biggest one that I see really people have a problem with, because we all know there we go. He is right-handed. That's good. Very good, Charles. The more practice with bad habits, what tends to happen, let's say, for instance, and I've heard this multiple times at the range. Well, I shoot low and left, so I aim high and right, so I'm impacting where I need to impact. Is that the way we need to learn to train? Is that the way we need to learn to practice? Is that the way that we're going to get in a gunfight to defend ourselves, by aiming directly away from the student? Hopefully that one time that we are not doing the crazy thing we did, and then that bullet goes off where it's not supposed to go. Shooting high and right to impact low and left is not a way to do anything. It's learning to shoot the pistol properly, figure out the challenges. If you're really having problems with firearms training, guys, or you're trying to figure it all out, I put this system together, the Master Handgun System, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Anybody that's listening to me right now can get into the master class. We just started it last night. We're on our first week. It is a great system. It's going to give you the ability to understand exactly what you're doing wrong and be able to fix it. Not only do you get an ebook, you get a course, you get a PowerPoint presentation, but you get to work with me for 4 weeks, helping you identify what your issues are. Imagine taking a firearms training class, paying for it for one time, and get it for a full month. It's a no-brainer, guys. But the reason why we do it is we want to have people like you. I want to have students that want to become better. I want to be able to put this class together to give you the opportunity to improve your accuracy. I want you to outshoot your brother-in-law. He doesn't practice. He shoots once in a while, but he kicks your ass every time. Wouldn't it be great? Just once. Well, it won't be just once once you take the class. He'll be asking you, what the hell did you do? What did you do? Now, if you want to tell him the secret, you can. I'll never tell. It's our secret. I'll never tell. All right, so that's 20 right now. We got 10 more to go, but I wanted to answer this gentleman's question because he is from New Jersey and he needs a firearm really bad. John, can you give us some info on canting the pistol? Yes, I can. Now, this is the dummy gun. There's not real. There's no rounds in or anything else like that. And I want to kind of give you an idea of why we cant it. Now, he's asking about shooting one-handed. And when we shoot a pistol one-handed, there are videos on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel, guys, there is a full masterclass playlist. And there are videos upon videos in that masterclass. And there is a shoot with one hand drill that I want to kind of talk to you about. So technically, you can shoot a pistol one-handed. There's no issue with that. It's easy to do. That's why it's called a handgun, because it's designed to be shot one-handed. Two-handed allows us to control a lot better. What Kurt was asking is, do we cant it, and how do we cant it? Well, we're not talking about gangsta. This is not what we're talking about. This is not how it's done. This is what you see on TV. It's physically point shooting, but it's not really going to help them be more proficient. They're just running it that ways because that's the way it comes out of the box, if that makes sense. That's a joke. But it comes out of the box that way. That's the way they carry it. Now, what you try to do, guys, in a one handed situation is we need to be well aware of where our other hand is. So, technically, we want to take our top hand and make sure we grab our shirt. So, when I draw from my holster and cant this out, I want to turn it at an angle that I could just control the recoil. And when I shoot, the gun's going to go in this direction and it's going to stay up. But I want you to pay attention to one thing here as I'm canting. Can you see the rail assembly here? This piece right here? Where is that? What am I looking down? I'm looking down the rail of the gun. So when I ask you, I say to you, hey, how many sight systems are on a handgun? What would you say? Would you say one? Would you say two? Or would you say four? What do you think? How many sights are on a handgun? Technically, it's three. When I said four, you would be counting the front sight and the back sight. Well, technically, is the back sight a sight without the front sight? Is the front sight a sight without the back sight? So that's one, and then our rails, the two pieces of top rail. So it's technically three shots. So how do we hold a hit again one-handed? Well, you bring it out, you focus on your rail assembly, you keep it up, make sure your hands at your chest, and slow press, and slow press, and slow press. And it's the same thing if you're right-handed or you're left-handed, guys. It's the same scenario. You just turn it enough and cant it. Now, this is one of those things. If you shoot with both eyes open, right, you can have the gun over your left eye. You can have the gun over your right eye. Now, when I have it on my left eye, I do have to squint my right eye because it wants to take over. But turning the weapon with a cant, it focuses on our rail assemblies instead of focusing on our sights, and it helps us be more accurate. You can actually cant it and just focus on your back slide piece here like this and do the same. But canting it makes all the difference in the world, because if you don't cant it, the gun's going to come up in a recoil like this. When you turn it sideways and drive with your chest, or push out, ladies, with your hands, you're going to keep that gun more level. And the more level it is, the more shots will be level. And then we want to focus on keeping the gun level while we engage it and bring it back to our line of focus at each time. Kurt, did that help you, sir? Do you have any other questions about canting one-handed? And I'd highly recommend you go to our YouTube channel and watch one of those handgun tips for shooting one-handed. Okay. All right. So Rich B is left eye dominant, shoot right-handed. It can mess me up. It messed me up early, very easily. Yeah, it can. It can. You just need to, what you need to do is what's happening to most people is when they put the gun out over in front of your left eye dominant right hand, you move your chin to the right. You should actually be moving your chin to the left and put the gun over to your left eye. That's the key. Marrying the weapon and the eye together is the key. We have to marry the weapon and the eye together to shoot straight. If we don't shoot straight, if we got the gun and we got this, you're bobbling up. So our job, if I'm right-handed and right-eye dominant, the gun's got to be on my right eye. If I'm right-handed, left-eye dominant, I'm going to put the gun over to my left eye, and I'm going to move my chin to the left to make sure I'm over the weapon. Vice versa for being left-handed. Left-handed right eye, left-handed left eye. Same thing. You have to marry the weapon and the eye together to be the best shooter you can be. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go back to these questions. So we got a couple more here. Jerking the trigger is one of the biggest cause of poor accuracy. Jerking the trigger is one of the biggest cause of poor accuracy. I'm going to tell you any manipulation of the trigger is the problem. Because here's what I'll give you. You could have the greatest control of the pistol. You could have rock solid stance. We could open the dictionary. It'd be you with grip and stance, sight picture and sight alignment. But if you got a bad trigger, it don't matter. That's ruining everything. But take it back the other way, right? We look up worst trigger, worst stance, worst sight picture, sight alignment, all the stuff like that. But a solid trigger press each time, you're still going to succeed. It's not going to be exactly where you're aiming, but they're going to be tight together. So trigger is probably the number one issue for most students. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Charles. All right. So what is the fix for bad trigger press? We need to practice a slow trigger control. I'll give you a little bit of a tip here. I want you to think about last time you went to the range. I want you to think of, were you shocked or surprised when the shot went off? Or did you know the weapon was going to fire? That's a silly question to ask, John. Of course I knew the weapon was going to fire. Well, if you know the weapon's going to fire, you're pulling the trigger. And you're never going to get to a point where you understand it. When you press that trigger back in a slow, continuous press until the shot cuts and it surprises you, that's the proper trigger pull to learn with. Right now, obviously, in a defensive situation, we're going to slap the shit out of it. There's no question about that. There's none of that stuff in high defense. We're just trying to, the first shot's the best shot, if that makes sense. In a gunfight, you want to be the guy who's putting the shot out first, not the shot out second. And most of the time in self-defense, you don't get the first shot. You're trying to work your defensive accuracy. So hopefully you get the opportunity to put another shot downrange. So slow trigger press, slow continuous trigger press, taking the trigger back as slow as possible. Almost thinking about, we did a drill a while back where I was giving students what kind of cadence they need when they're pressing the trigger. And it's just you can do a count or you can do a spell. You just put the trigger out in front of you, drive the weapon out, and then begin to slowly press the trigger while spelling the word press. P-R-E-S-S. And once you get to the back S, the weapon's going to cut. We're just applying pressure to the trigger until it fires. Now, internally, your monster is screaming to you, pull the trigger, let's get the heck out of here. We need to shut him up and just make sure that we're just getting that trigger back as slow as we can. All right. Number 22. Flinching is hard to fix. It doesn't affect accuracy that much. flinching is hard and doesn't affect your accuracy that much. Flinching is hard to fix and it doesn't affect your accuracy that much. Well, I can tell you this, in the range, when I'm using my camera to videotape students, they don't know what they're doing with the weapon and they don't see themselves flinching. When I show them on the camera and they visually see it, once you identify a good shot, then all the rest of them, you'll know when it's a bad shot. It'll make you feel differently. You've been to the range before and had a good solid day. You've been to the range and you really just were off that day, right? And there's something small and different that causes it, right? There's not a lot of stuff, I've already told you there's only a few things that make you a bad shot. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, like anything else. So flinching, so that'd be false, guys. You can use dummy rounds, focus on follow through, train your brain to don't flinch. Train your brain to don't get to that point, don't hesitate, don't. The dummy drills are way good, a good way to identify. Any firearms training we do, guys, anything we do, any drills we given you, one, if they're not challenging you, don't do them. Why waste your time? Why take the 24 by whatever they're like 28 by 36 target with that big circle X in the center of the belly and shoot those all the time? Well, number one, that X is normally below your line of sight, which is causing inaccuracy problems to begin with. Number two, they're 3 times bigger than what they need to be, and you're not really learning anything. And most people are putting 15 rounds in a 15-round magazine, and the first 5 shots out of a mag are the most important, and then you're spending the rest of the time in a ride, baby. You're riding that magazine until it's empty. We need to make sure every round counts, and the more we do with the low round counts, the easier it's going to be for us. If anything tonight, guys, you get out of this, make sure you start using 5 rounds at a time and start using a good 2 or 3 drills that's going to challenge you. And there's a plenty of them on our YouTube channel. If you want to know more about the handgun training system, we put out challenging drills. The drills we give you guys are the drills I shoot when we give you the videos. They challenge me. If they challenge me, they're going to challenge you. And every time we shoot a pistol, we need to be challenged, or we're wasting our time, we're wasting our ammo, and we're picking up bad habits. All right, poor grip pressure can cause movement during the shot. Poor grip pressure can cause movement during the shot. That is true, guys. There's things can happen. Number one, not improper grip. Your dominant hand is on your gun, and your non-dominant hand is being blocked by your dominant thumb. You're not really touching the gun. That's a very common thing. The 2 thumbs forward, or you're pressing that thumbs against the slide. That can cause problems. There's thumbing, there's healing, there's all kinds of stuff. This piece of skin right here, this piece right here on the trigger finger, when that touches the pistol, it causes it to go off. Now, if you use that gap right there. Let's see if I can show it to you. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I'm not really touching that anymore. There it is. There's the gap. You don't want your finger here. You don't want it like this. You want it like this. So when you go to engage that trigger, you're pressing that trigger in the back of your hand, and you're not getting your skin to push that weapon over to the side. So pressure, grip in the handle can cause a lot of different stuff. That's why when you are running the pistol, that's why you get that high shot, that low shot, that right shot, that left shot, because you're not getting a positive grip all the way through. And the only way to get a positive grip all the way through is to get that 40% skin all the way around this side and 70% of skin on this side and touch the firearm completely. All right. All right. Now we are going to answer these questions you guys are putting through. We just want to get through these things real quick. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Start thinking about using a firm, consistent grip with both hands, using a 60-40 support from the firing hand, 40% from the firing hand, 60% from the non-firing hand. There's a lot of people just say could hold the gun properly, squeeze on both sides, but technically it's not that easy. So we try to give people more of a concept. If you really just think about it, it's just math. Trigger finger side, there's 3 fingers. Non-dominant hand, 4 fingers. The 4 fingers are going to grip the gun a lot harder than the 3 fingers, and that's the way you should look at it. All right. Inconsistent sight picture does not matter at close range. Inconsistent sight picture doesn't matter at close range. That'd be false. Some kind of front sight focus will help us tremendously at any distance. Again, sights are convenient. As long as the weapon is level, the shot will be level. As we pull the shot, we're going to pull the gun. Always front sight focus and really focus on that front sight being where it needs to be, especially if you're trying to work off an accuracy thing. If you're working more defensive, you just want to make sure that the gun stays level. All right. Shooting low is always because of bad sights. Shooting low with a firearm is because of bad sights. True or false? That'd be false, guys. Often it's the trigger control or flinching. It's not the sights. You want to test this out, you can just do some dry firing and you'll see that front post drop. If the front post drops, the bullet's going to drop. And I'll give you another one too. If you are one of the head dippers, and this is a here I am here, and I bring my head to my chin, I bring my head to the gun, that's going to cause low too. We always want to have the gun in our line of sight, not bring our head to the gun, but bring the gun to the head. That's going to help us tremendously become better accurate with a pistol instead of dumping our head. Turtle, we don't want to dump our head into our body. We want to keep the gun in our line of sight. That's the best way to do that. That's a very common thing you see at the range. Guys will dip their head to the pistol. Don't dip your head to the pistol. Heeling the gun, pushing with your palm, causes the shots to go high. That's when you're pushing on the back side of the firearm. If you just do it just one time or two, you can see how your front post goes up. It's not that dramatic. I was doing it more dramatic, but heeling does cause high shots. Another thing that causes high shots is when you're not focusing on your backside and you're only focusing on your front post, and then the front of the gun is at a little bit of a high rise. High rise like that will always impact high. Those are your bullet impact tells you a lot what you're doing with the firearm. Best way to fix that is relax your hands and focus on pressure. Focus on pressing the trigger straight back. You don't want to jerk the trigger. You want to bring it straight back. Any kind of movement in the firearm, we don't want pressure on the sides of the firearm. We don't want pressures on the back side of the firearm. We don't want pressures on the back end, and we don't want to use pressure on the front end. So what ends up happening is when you get that 360-degree grip, where you wrap it all the way around, what you're doing, guys, you're encapsulating the firearm in a 360-degree grip, which helps us really control the forward, front, or the back and left or right. It's all there in one piece, and it makes it so much easier for you. So just try to focus on getting a good grip and keeping that trigger straight back as best you can. So when you're engaging the trigger and the weapon just fires, you're doing it right. And that just means when you're pressing the trigger until the weapon fires and the shot surprises you, that's a pretty good trigger press. You want to get to that point. Next one would be shooting faster will help you learn accuracy faster. I can tell you there's two caveats to this. You've all done it. I've done it myself. When I shoot faster, I don't think about a lot of this stuff. When I shoot slower, that's when I get this whole little problem, if that makes sense. So ideally, we want to shoot as fast and as fast and accurate. You need to run the pistol as accurately as you can and as fast as you can. And you'll find that distance, you'll find that speed that's going to make you as fast as and as accurate as you can be. So shooting, that'd be false. Shooting fast makes you accurate. Your stance doesn't matter as long as you're holding the gun tight. That's false, guys. Your stance always matters. I want you to name one house, one building, one bridge, one anything out there that's being built without a solid foundation. And without a solid foundation, technically think about it. I mean, you've got no way of understanding what's going to happen. The house being built right across the street just spent 3.5 weeks taking dirt off, putting dirt in, putting the concrete pad down, putting the driveway, doing all that stuff before they even started worried about the walls. They got to have a good foundation first. And number 30, every shot should feel the same. Every shot should feel the same. When you spend enough time behind the weapon, you should begin to feel what a good shot feels like and then what a bad shot feels like. And when you shoot a weapon with a bad shot, all of a sudden, automatically you get that light bulb moment or that aha moment. Well, I just felt that was a bad shot. I knew it. I felt it. And you get that very early when you start doing it. We do classes almost every day, and most students have 4 or 5 aha moments every class, especially new students, because they're nervous at first. That first 2 or 3 magazines break them out a little bit, and after the fact, it becomes easier and easier for them. So that is my handgun shooting quiz. Go ahead and comment. Let me know how you think you did. I believe most of you did pretty well in this, or you knew most of this stuff, so that's pretty good. All right, so let's go back and look at some of the questions. I got Rich. Okay, Charles. Subscribe. All right. I covered canting the pistol. Kurt, I answered that question for you on the canting. Do you have any other questions about that? Rich B was left eye. He shoots right-handed. It can mess me up very easily. Yes, it can. I will tell you one of the best things I can give you, Charles, is I want you to really think about this. It's very simple. You must have your weapon over your dominant eye. Now you have 2 choices. You can either move your chin or move the weapon. And it's easier just to move the weapon just a little bit and cant your chin. If you're right-handed and left eye dominant, your chin has to be moved to the light or to the. If you're right-handed and left eye dominant, it's got to be moved to the left. And if you're left-handed, right eye dominant, your chin needs to be moved to the right. You must marry the weapon and the eye together. Just remember that. Marry the weapon and the eye together. And the more you do that, the more you're going to be shooting over the pistol. And it makes it so much easier for you. All right. So let's see what we got here from Charles. I go to the range and shoot paper, but it seems like I keep messing up, not just the red dot. Okay, let's see. I go to the range and shoot paper, but it seems like I keep messing up, not just red dot. Yeah, shooting. Like I said before, shooting's not the easiest thing to do. I would recommend, honestly, if you haven't watched any of our videos at all, Charles, I would have to spend some time with that. One of the greatest ones we have that gives you a lot of techniques and a lot of really, really tight stuff. People really love it. Is Why Do I Shoot Low and Left? And it's a great video. And I actually have an ebook on why you shoot low and left. Phenomenal piece of equipment there that really explains down to a science what's causing most of the issues. Red dots need to be sighted in, and they need to be ran like they're supposed to be ran. Most people use a red dot as an aiming device. Your aiming device with a red dot is your two eyes open. If you're using a red dot and closing an eye to use it, you are not using it properly. You use both eyes open, focusing on your target, and let your dot float. That's the proper way to aim a red dot. And then as it's floating on the target, you're going to be slowly engaging the trigger back until the weapon fires. A red dot are designed for quick acquisition, not bullseye shooting, if that makes sense. And we got a little bit more here. Thanks, John. Can Olympic pistol shooters techniques be safely performed using a higher caliber handgun? Sure, they can. Yeah, those guys shoot 22s because it's low recoil and everything, but they have the same thing. I mean, you still got to be able to, no matter if it's a 22. Tell you what, be honest with you, I shoot a 22 worse than I shoot a 9mm. I think psychology-wise, my brain knows I don't have to control a 22 like I have to control a 9mm or a 40 or a 45. So technically, our brain is going, well, it doesn't kick. I don't need to worry about it. And I don't really control it as much as possible, like I should. Okay. Well, Jim, thank you very much. Appreciate you saying that. Jim said great information. Trying to summarize that. Well, I can tell you this, Charles. It most likely needs to be sighted in the furthest distance you think you're going to shoot it. So here at the range, we have 35 feet to the back. We always sight them in at 35 feet. We use an 8-inch 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, white, and then we focus it on an ammo can of any kind, and we cut 2 or 3 shots, trying to keep it as stable as possible, and then find where the impact is, and then move the basis. I will tell you that most red dots are corrugated properly, but some of the Chinese crap that comes into town, they don't know the difference. When you're thinking about a scope, for instance, if I want to go up, I go down. If I want to go right, we go left. So on your piece of equipment, that R and right and left are done properly. They're done in reverse for you to understand them. You won't know that until you try it on your weapon. Now, most of the major Holisons and all the rest of them are all done properly. But if you buy some from Amazon to put on the gun, you don't know if they're going to hold zero or anything else like that. Uh, Take 3 shots, bring it in, see where it is. I will tell you, because those things are set at different distances, you got to know what the click rate is. But I normally do handguns. If I need to move it 3 inches or 4 inches, that's probably going to be about 13 clicks up. And I would work on one or the other first. I would work on up and down and then right or left. And one of the most important things with right or left is you got to make sure the weapon's over your dominant eye, just like a rifle. If you're shooting a rifle, and you got this is a good picture right here, where you see if you got your rifle here and you got your nose there, you're not going to be over the pistol. But if you turn your rifle and pistol and get your nose over the gun, you're going to do a lot better. So same thing there. I would recommend, Charles, if you can't get it figured out red dot wise, take it to a local gun range and pay a professional. Maybe he'll help you do it, but it's not that hard. But don't think about you're going to shoot cans off a fence. Just take out an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper or a 6-inch paper plate and try to impact. You use an ammo can and put this on the bottom of the ammo can, lean down. That'll keep the gun from flipping so much for you, and you'll get more consistent shots. But you have to engage the trigger exactly the same each time. That's why I'm not a red dot guy. I don't believe red dots are going to make you more accurate. I think red dots are going to cause you more problems. I had a guy last summer that was doing our each week we have what is it called? What's that thing called, Jake? We're doing Thursday. Oh, we're doing the league. I'm losing my brain there. We're doing the league, and he was shooting a Glock 19 with a Wholesome on there, and when he went, the red dot came off. Both bolts broke, and hit him in the head. Now, he was on the line and shot it. He thought he got hit by a bullet. To be honest with you, it hit him so hard. So red dots are great and wonderful, but knowing how to use your sights is probably more important. So shooting the red dot is something that you should have one pistol with the red dot and one without, same gun, and understand both of them at the same time. Okay. Let's see what this is. Is it better to be squared to the target? I tend to stand slightly sideways and slight bend. I like belly button towards target. That is my thing I teach every student, because I want to be in a position of control. I want to be. Now, Jim, it doesn't sound like you're standing in a weaver, 1 foot back, 1 foot forward. You can cant that 1 foot, turn you just a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. But what feet shoulder width apart, belly button towards target, gives us mobility, gives us ability to move forward, move backwards, move right, move left without really having any problems. When you technically have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, you're off balance to begin with, and you're shooting a pistol, which is going to want to push you back to that one side. When you actually physically are pushed back in this direction, it's a lot easier for you. And when you're able to put your nose over your toes and drive through the weapon, like that's how you're going to do it. Anyways, you're going to drive your chest muscles with the gun. You're going to keep the weapon more level, more stable, and more in control. Great question, Jim. Thank you, buddy. But again, how do you shoot that way? If you shoot that way, that's fine. If you move my way and you start shooting worse, obviously I want to give you my opinion, but I don't want to mess you up either. It's hard to change once you've got it, but you understand what I'm trying to do. Uh, I I would try to shoot it at. Charles is asking, should I sight it in? We sight everything in here at our furthest distance. Most ranges are going to be 25. I would say I wouldn't shoot much further than 25, maybe 30 at the most. And then I would sight it in. Once I got a good tight group, I would go back and sight it in at each distance. Don't move the target. Don't move your sights. Just you'll know where you're going to be. So you come back, put your target back up, shoot at 3, shoot at 5, shoot at 7, shoot at 21. You shouldn't have too much difference in fluctuation. Probably 3 and 30 would probably be real close together, and then the bullet's going to rise as it goes out a little bit. So you should be able to impact from our range. When we sight them in at our furthest distance, and we have 35 feet to the back because we're a handgun training facility, so we don't have a ton of. We normally then take the customer and put them at 35, shoot one round, and keep coming in. So you're just educated. You just understand what kind of fall we're going to have with the product. And once we understand the fall of the product, then it makes it a lot easier for us to understand what we need to do to hit the target where we need. You're welcome, Jim. So I wouldn't get too further than 30 yards, Charles, if you had the ability, and stay at 30. That's probably, I mean, technically in a gunfight situation, anything past 21 feet, you should be shooting at them unless they're shooting at you, because they couldn't hit you anyways because they don't train well enough to get lucky, and you're not going to engage somebody that further distance. That 21 foot gives you a full second and a half. That's the 21-foot rule. Anything past 21 feet, you get more seconds that you have the ability to make a decision before you engage. So it gives you the ability to find the movement, get out of the way, don't do what you need to do. It's all that stuff in between 21 and to you is when you start losing valuable seconds. You remember, you got to identify a threat, make a decision, and engage, and get out of the holster, and pack the weapon. So you just got to kind of work the distances backwards, and understand the vital triangle is pretty big. So you don't have to worry about it. If you can impact the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper at any distance I give you, you're going to win the fight. Okay, that's good. Well, thank you very much for this evening, guys. This was great. I hope you enjoyed it. Those that are new to the channel, thank you very much. Very nice, Charles. That's good to hear, man. Yeah, we offer training classes almost every day, so it's part of the deal. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, listen, very important for you this evening. If you are watching this through YouTube, I want you to make sure you look down and make sure you are subscribed. Sometimes people get unsubscribed for any weird reason. If you can subscribe, hit that bell icon and a like button, and every time we upload a video just like this one, you'll be the next to know. We are at subscriber count. I started this channel 2.5 years ago, and my oldest son and myself, we started with 37 subscribers, and we are at 38,990. So we're at almost 39,000 subscribers. We're 10 away, and we have 15 people on here. So if you have the ability and you are not subscribed to our channel, I don't ask for subscribers very often, but if you can help me out and support me, I appreciate that very much. Our YouTube channel is available for you at any time. We answer all of our comments. One of the things I will tell you about real quick before you take off is we do have our speakpipe.com. We started this channel a while back to motivate, educate, and entertain, and I hope we do that each evening. Each time we do this, we are getting a lot of people who watch this and look forward to it. It's very humbling to think that we've been doing this almost a year, almost 2 years now, and we've gone from me doing it, nobody watching, to tonight we had a good crew. We still have a good crew staying with us this late in the game, so we appreciate that very much. But this is called SpeakPipe, and SpeakPipe's a way that you can ask me a question, and it is like a recorder. And basically, you go to speakpipe.com/John the Firearms Instructor and ask a question. It's recorded through SpeakPipe, 90 seconds. And then after that, we will host the video next week of what you're asking. And then from there, you can do it each week if you'd like. We truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you for being here. You are my reason why I do it. So thank you very much. I think we had one more comment. Let's see what we got here. There we go. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. You provide great information. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you very much. I really do. I hope you have a great week and a great weekend. All right, guys. So that's about an hour and 22 minutes. I got 3 things to say to you. God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. Until next week, God willing, I'll see you. Love you very much. Good night.